Welcome to our Chief of Army Staff, General Naravne, PVSM, AVSM, SM, VSM, and ADC, who has found his time from a very hectic schedule to be with us for this valedictory address. We, in the last 2 days, had some brilliant presentations on the Gallipoli campaign. And what makes this international conference remarkable is first, it brings the military historians, military men, and diplomats from India, UK, New Zealand, Australia, and Turkey on one platform to discuss various dimensions of Gallipoli campaign from each country's perspective. The panelists have presented very well researched and insightful perspectives that will be very, very useful in bringing some of the vital but less known facets of this campaign into a sharper focus. Uh, in some, what I have learned that this campaign began with a failed British and French naval breakthrough through the Dardanelles to attack Istanbul, which was then followed by an Allied amphibious assault on 25th April 1915 on the Gallipoli Peninsula. The military strategy was intended to allow Allied ships to pass through the strait, capture Istanbul, and ultimately knock Ottoman Empire out of the war. However, this campaign turned out to be the most disastrous and tragic campaigns of the World War I. And as we have seen from different expositions, that victory has hundreds of fathers and defeat has none. And that is what actually the Great Britain is proving. There are larger politico-military repercussions of this campaign, as it is aptly said that the basic cause of a strategic failure is the flawed assumptions on which you base your assessment and your planning. And the Allied campaign was flawed in the basic assumption that the Ottoman troops were just a pushover and the perceived easy victory will be welcomed by the Turk people and they will turn against their own regime, their own people. And right from the word go, it was plagued by ill-defined goals, poor planning, insufficient artillery, inexperienced troops drawn from different nationalities. There were even inaccurate maps, poor intelligence. There was overconfidence, inadequate equipment, and logistical and tactical deficiencies at all levels. On the other hand, the Ottoman commanders, who were patterned on the basis of European armies, they were able to utilize the high ground around the Allied landing beaches to position well-sited defenses that limited the ability of Allied forces to penetrate inland, and they confined themselves into those narrow beaches. The campaign's necessity remains the subject of debate even today, and the recriminations that followed were significant, highlighting the gap that had developed between the military strategy and various political goals. The campaign had cost allies about 1,87,959 killed, and Turks also lost as many numbers. And therefore it proved to be Turkey's greatest victory in the war. It catapulted Ataturk as the father of modern day Turkey, and Gallipoli therefore forms the rallying point of Turkey's nationalism. In London, as we have discussed, that it led to the demotion of Winston Churchill, the Lord of Admiralty, and contributed to the collapse of the government of the day. And as far as Australians are concerned, they take this as a sense of Australian nationhood and they celebrate it with some aplomb. Similarly, campaign has a significant importance for New Zealand. It is perceived as a symbol of their loyalty to the throne, and they also take a lot of pride in the sense of that how their soldiers and the countrymen had participated or fought in the campaign. From the Indian perspective, you know, what goes to the credit of India that during World War I, we had contributed about 1.3 million troops, and they fought from the trenches of Western Front to the deserts of Mesopotamia, from Central Asia to Eastern Europe, and their valor and fortitude was evident across the vast geography of the conflict. Gallipoli was one of the theaters where the Indian troops gave an outstanding account of their ethos, which is steeped in regimental mottos like Naam, that is the name of your regiment, your unit, Namak, that is your indebtedness to the government or the organization, and Nishan, that is your flag. Also, mottos like Izzat, that is the prestige, and Iqbal, or soldiering with faith. And from the Indian side, we know that we had the 7th Mountain Artillery Brigade, the 29 Infantry Brigade, which comprised Gurkha, Punjabi, Musalman, and Sikh troops. They gave a very fierce account of their mettle at the battlefield. There was also participation from the state forces. There's from Patiala, some participation was from Gwalior, and this Ferozpur Sikhs, also Jat Sikhs, also gave an excellent account of their their valor and their ability to make supreme sacrifices. There were also mule trains, medical corps, and the postal services as part of Indian participation. And it goes to the credit of Indian Army that out of 16,000 odd troops that participated, we had more than 1,600 people who got killed, and there were about more than 3,000 people who were wounded. And a large number of battle honors were earned by the Indian Army units there. It is in this context that I would like to say that the role of USI and ICWA, the two organizers this event, it is laudable. In fact, USI of India is the reservoir of India's military heritage and has contributed in commemorating ceremonies. We are associated with war grave events. We are involved in curating memorials like we did 2 years ago at the Villers Gallery in France, various museums, mobile exhibitions in Belgium, staff rides to the epic battlefields in India. And besides that, you know, as it emerged during our discussion, the idea of creating a war memorial at the Gallipoli as a tribute to our martyrs is a very appealing one, and I think it is worth taking with the Ministry of External Affairs and with the Indian Army. I therefore compliment Squadron Leader China and Ambassador Raghavan to put together with their teams this wonderful event. My special thanks to eminent panelists for sharing their immense knowledge and make this event a success. Now, with these words, may I now request the Chief of Army Staff to give his valedictory address. And before I request him, just few customary words about him, though he needs no introduction, that you know, he, besides the other normal army courses and the sort of a number of very, very prestigious assignments, what stands out is that he's about to complete his doctorate, and he has very, very rich operational experience, be it CICT operations, Jammu and Kashmir, Northeast, or even in Punjab. And he has also been our defense attaché in Myanmar. He's commanded a strike corps, also been the commander-in-chief of the Army Training Command and Eastern Command. And before becoming the Chief of Army Staff, that is about 1.5 years ago, he was also the Vice Chief of Army Staff of Indian Army. So with these words, may I now request the Chief of Army Staff to kindly deliver his valedictory address. Over to you, General Naravne.